Almost everyone has heard about the Jewish Holocaust, where millions of people, mainly Jews, were ethnically cleansed by the Nazis in the Europe, which is one of the worst genocide the world has ever seen. However, very few people might know there are people who deny this Holocaust. They straight out say this Holocaust never happened. People who deny the Holocaust are called the Holocaust Deniers. Predominantly, they come from backgrounds like professors, qualified historians, authors, journalists, just like Maurice Bahades, who was a French journalist, David Irving, an English author, and many, many, many more. They twist the facts and the history to sell their narrative. Similarly, there are Hindu Holocaust deniers, like the fangirl of Aurangzeb. Yes, Audrey Trashke. Now the question raised is, did she straight out deny the Hindu Holocaust? Let me tell you how the modern day neo-Nazi extremist or similar mindset gang work. We will show her hidden agendas and how she is a Holocaust denier and similar to the modern day neo-Nazi with the agenda of hate and only hate. If you have not yet subscribed to our channel, please hit the subscribe button and the bell icon and stay tuned. Although Audrey's father-in-law's conversion work in India is an open secret, Audrey has denied these claims of her being involved in the missionary work, as she is a modern-day missionary. And her job is to provide a cover to the cultural genocide done by her father-in-law and their gang in India. She provides a shield to the conversion mafia by demonizing Hindutva. So any Hindutva group on the ground trying to stop this conversion, this cultural genocide, are under pressure and cannot work efficiently. Meanwhile, aligning with other Hindu haters to create the same narrative to demonize Hindutva. But based on her claims, let's take her word on this one and keep the missionary angle aside. Let's talk the basics of her hate and why she is a modern day Holocaust denier. Islamic invaders committed one of the biggest, probably the biggest genocide that mankind had ever seen, the Hindu Holocaust, which was committed by various Islamic invaders and their descendants, from Muhammad bin Qasim, Mahmud Ghaznavi, Muhammad Ghori, Taimur, Alauddin Khilji, Akbar, Babur, Tipu Sultan, Aurangzeb, and the list goes on and on and on and on. But similar to the Jewish Holocaust deniers, there are several people who deny this Holocaust as well, where people twist the fact and sell their own narrative. Might it be Arundhati Roy or Audrey Trashke? Yeah. Did you read the book? Yeah, I had it. I read it. After reading it, I made a paper cones for bhel puri and enjoyed my spicy bhel puri while reading some other book which made sense. Practically, her book is good for something. Who is Audrey Trashke? Academically, she is a professor at Rutgers University in the US, author, and for many, she is a qualified historian, or is she? Let's see. Professor Haye Funk, a professor of politics and culture at the Free University of Berlin, wrote a detailed research report and a research report document on the legal case between Holocaust denier David Irving and Deborah Lipstadt, who criticized Irving for his fabrication of facts to suit his narrative and denying Holocaust. Interestingly, Dr. Funk described the various angles of the Holocaust deniers and how they are connected to the Nazis. Professor Funk described in detail how the modern-day extremist neo-Nazi sympathizer present themselves as an updated and modernized version of the same basic idea of hate. They pay lip service to a non-racist recognition of other ethnic group, conceptualized as the ethno-pluralism. which is de facto ethnopluralism, racism, which basically means they are the wolves hiding under the skin of a sheep. They might pretend to be pro-humanity, but hidden agenda of such people is common, which is a sheer hate for a particular community. In Audrey's case, it's her Hinduphobia. Further, Professor describes the modern day neo-Nazi, and they also do not accept principle of enlightenment and the universal human rights, which mean they are selective on their opinions and outcry on human rights issues. For an example, the Aurangzeb fangirl throws a tantrum on issues of Kashmir and on any random cases of lynching in India, but surprisingly, the Holocaust denier never talks about hundreds of Hindus lynched in India in recent times, may it be in West Bengal, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Rajasthan, Maharashtra. Neither a word on missionaries like her father-in-law committing a cultural genocide. She goes blind, deaf, and mute on issues of ongoing ethnic cleansing of Hindu, Sikhs, Christian in Pakistan and other South Asian countries. Audrey has a long history of Hindu hate, Hindu bashing, hate mongering. Her love and support for ruthless mass murderers, anti-Hindu, anti-India lobby, she glorifying and trying to whitewash the obliterators, her basic outcry on human rights issue, and her support for the anti-Hindu, anti-India lobby. Just by looking at it, it could be concluded that Audrey is just another example of modern day neo-Nazi supporter type mindset. A modern day Hindu Holocaust denier whose agenda is nothing else but denigrating Hindus and spreading hate. Maurice Badesh, the first person to openly write after the end of the World War II, that he doubted the authenticity of the Holocaust in his 1948 book, Nuremberg or the Promised Land. Badesh is well known as the father figure of the Holocaust denial, followed by many others like Harry Elmer Barnes, a mainstream American historian. Barnes was also a professor of history. David Leslie Hagen was an American professor of history, author of The Forced War, When Peaceful Revisions Failed. Hagen and other Holocaust deniers maintained a good relation and/or supported Nazis and other anti-Semites. Well, in Audrey's case, close relations with Hindu haters and support for the anti-India gang. Pretty similar. Another prominent Holocaust denier, David Irving, a British author, who was later sent to jail for manipulating the facts to distort the history and lie about the Holocaust. And likewise, there are several other Holocaust deniers and their supporters from around the world. Many. But it is interesting to see, majorly all are either authors, historians, professors. Too many coincidences, or rather, a truth and similarities to someone we know. Interesting. Deborah Lipstadt, who wrote a book in the year of 1993 called Denying the Holocaust, which named and criticized various Holocaust deniers, including British author David Irving. No, he didn't write this book. He wrote this one. Irving filed a lawsuit against Lipstadt in 1996, analyzing and citing the lawsuit. In his report, Professor Funk quotes that David Irving has aligned himself with others who are anti-Semite and pro-Nazi, including individuals such as Dr. Robert Forreston, British-born French academic, and Ernest Zindel, German neo-Nazi publisher. Similarly, we had seen the qualified historian holding alliance or support to the Hindu haters and terrorist sympathizer, and definitely to the Breaking India forces. Ewald Eltens, the leading neo-Nazi in Munich, who is anti-Semite and racist, and is proud of it, by the way. Someone like Hindu hater and proud of it. Jewish Holocaust deniers were not limited to the Nazis, but Islamists played their role in helping their stepbrothers, the Nazis, in spreading the lie. For an instance, an Islamic preacher, Harun Yahya, distributed thousands of copies of a book which was published named Soy Kurum Yelana, which means the Holocaust lie. He mailed unsolicited text to Americans and European schools and colleges. Probably it seems like the Triple M gang has been helping each other for a very long time now. Further, Professor Funk states, for some of the modern day extremists, the belief system encompassed in Judeo-Christianity Marxism themselves being the aggressor in the various genocides like the Celtic or Nordic tradition, the New Age neo-Nazi appeals to the people of the world to rejuvenate their unique culture and heritage. But they forget their own history of committing several genocides throughout the world. Similarly, in the case of Audrey, she forget the genocide of Native Americans, African American slavery, ethnic cleansing of Mayans, and what her family continued to do currently in India, a cultural genocide of people, taking them away from the deep roots of Sanatan Dharma, fool them and convert them by the power of money, tricks, and sneaky, snazzy techniques. But she lectures Hindus about the human rights, and obviously, like her Islamist help Nazis, she is aligning with radical Islamists in India and supporting them. Makes sense. If we analyze all of this similarity closely, it can be concluded that Audrey Trashke's fabricated claims, biased outrage, hue and cry about Hindutva, and phony human rights claim and love for human rights are nothing but sheer Hindu hate and a living example of someone similar to a modern day neo-Nazi. And by that definition, it can be very well said, yes, Audrey is a modern day Hindu Holocaust denier.